I have been, confession time, I have discovered a K-pop band that my daughter loves. And then I started paying attention and now I love them. You guys, I wish I was kidding. I'm not. So I've been listening to Stray Kids and I literally can't get enough. I've been listening to them for like 3 weeks straight and I don't ever want to stop. I'm constantly like just listening to them and they're on repeat and I have songs in my head all the time. I have one in my head right now, like, and I can't get it out and I'm not mad about it. I never ever thought that I would listen to K-pop. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought that I would. I listened to Blackpink. So, okay, that was kind of a lie. I listened to Blackpink, but Stray Kids, whole nother level for me. I love them. And it's a thing, guys. It's a thing that is now in my life. Hey guys, it's Sarah. And today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in January. Read a good amount. It was a pretty good reading month. Okay, let's start with my very first book of 2024, The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Oh my goodness. I loved this. I loved this book. It's getting mixed reviews. It is. Some people are loving it. Some people are not loving it. And I totally get that. That's fine. That's fine. I loved it. Loved it. So this is a shorter book and it follows a group of friends who go to a house that is on the Greek islands. Yeah, Greek islands. And just to kind of get away, all that stuff. So this does involve a celebrity. So one of these characters is a celebrity. She's a big time actress and it's kind of her close knit group of people who are going. And murder happens and then you're spending some time trying to figure it out because it's an isolated thing. So they are on this island. There's only like, a couple other people there. There's a caretaker for the estate and there is a housekeeper, / kind of she takes care of everything type with them as well. But it was very good. I love the way that this was written. This was written in a way that one of the narrator of the story is telling you the story. So it literally describes sit down, have a drink, let me tell you some things. And it feels like a big, juicy gossip session. And I love the way that it was told that way. And it does take some turns. It takes you in different areas and then makes you think you're reading one thing. And then it's like, but that's not really what happened. And you're like, why? So, yeah, but I thought it was really uniquely told. I love the way that was done. I loved the outcome of it. And the epilogue, you guys, it was fantastic. I definitely gave this 5 stars. Not even a problem. But this one checked off quite a few things for me. So this was an anticipated read. This was an ARC that I had. I did buy a finished copy of it, but I was sent an ARC from the publisher. So I got one of my ARCs read, which was nice. And this was a most anticipated read. So very happy about that. And then this is an author I want to read to zero, which I now have. I have read all of his books that he has written and published. So, yeah, I loved it. I really did. All of his books have been 5 stars for me. I'm 100% all in with this author. He's fantastic. And I also had the opportunity to go to a virtual author meet and greet with him through work. So with Barnes & Noble, so they've been having these author meet and greets for booksellers. So it's just like a private, interview that you get to watch with him. You get to ask him questions and stuff. And that was really, really cool to hear him talk about his process writing this versus his process writing his other books and what's coming up next and all that kind of stuff. So that was really, really awesome. And I'm really glad that I was able to get this read before that event. So, I can hear him talk about it and stuff. But yeah, he's a favorite author easily. So the only content warning I will say about this one is that there is some bullying in here that is very detailed and described. So if that's something that you're uncomfortable with, that is in here. That was kind of the only thing. Okay, and then I actually picked up my first nonfiction for the year, and I ended up reading The Coddling of the American Mind. This is by Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt. And Jonathan Haidt is the narrator for the audiobook of this one, so I did listen to it. And he did a good job. So this one really deals with mainly a college age group, that kind of age range, and what universities and teachers and adults are teaching these young adults about the real world and about interactions that they're going to have with people out in the real world. And is it healthy? Are we teaching them to be able to deal with things in a healthy way and to be able to have healthy interactions with other people, especially people they don't agree with? That's it. It took me a really long time to come up with that because I kept stumbling over my words. I was like, that's not what I'm trying to say. So that's mainly what this is. And there was a line in here that was really good. That was, are we actually teaching people, or are we coddling them? Are we even teaching people anymore? So I thought it was very interesting. It's definitely nonpartisan or bipartisan. Yeah. Bipartisan. So it's looking at both sides because there's examples on both sides. And we're going to go ahead and just say it's, Democrat versus Republican, because those are the two main parties and those are the main, warring sides. And so it deals with, this side of things and then this side of things and what the side is doing wrong and what the side is doing wrong. Of course, this is all their opinions, but it was very, very interesting to see examples. Now, some of the examples were extreme for a reason because, you have it was purposefully extreme. Not all examples of unhealthy interactions with people are going to be this bad. So it was they were intentionally picked that way, obviously. But yeah, it was interesting, I thought. I did think that some of the solutions that they were coming up with were not realistic, though. I don't think that people are just going to let go of their beliefs so easily on either side. So it's just kind of, it was a little interesting that way. But yeah, it was interesting. So I gave it 4 stars. There wasn't anything that I really didn't like about it. There was nothing that I absolutely loved about it. So it was just kind of it was interesting to listen to it and to listen to some of the research and the examples and all that. So, yeah. And this one was a book exchange gift from Amanda. And then I read another one of my ARCs. So I got a physical ARC of this one, and I also got an audio ARC from Libro FM. So I had 2 different early copies of this one. But that is Anna O. This is by Matthew Blake. This one was really pushed in a very positive light as far as, everyone talking about how good it is. And there was this big bidding war on it when it was, presented to be picked up and, all this stuff. And I was like, ooh, yeah. And I read it and it was fine. It definitely gave me a little bit of the same feelings as Silent Patient, which I say that very lightly, though, because Silent Patient is one of my favorite thriller books ever and still is. And I think that what these types of books are doing, Silent Patient did it best. So yeah, so definitely I could see the similarities with Silent Patient in this one, but this one did not do it quite as good as, or not even close to as good as Silent Patient did. I'll say that. So this one is following a psychologist, and he studies sleep disorders and specifically things that people do while they are sleeping, like sleepwalking, whatever types of things that they can be doing, because there is a woman who is in a coma and she is the prime suspect in a murder that happened. And it is to be believed that she killed people in her sleep. And so they're trying to figure out if she actually did this. And if she did it while she was sleeping. Can she even be prosecuted? Is she actually guilty? Is it all fake? Did she just kill people and then pretend to be asleep? It's a whole thing. So you're kind of, you're going between him and then what has happened in the past with her sleeping habits and all these types of things. And then, of course, everything starts coming together. But yeah, I don't know. It moved a lot slower than I would have liked. I definitely found myself during certain moments in this book, just kind of okay, can we get to the point? So I felt like it dragged on for sure. I did like the conclusion. I did like the ending. And there definitely were twists and turns. Did I see them coming? Some of them, not all of them. Yeah, but I did like the way that it concluded and turned out and what happened at the end. So I will say that I did like that. But I ended up landing on a 3 with this one just because it was very slow and I was just kind of like I wanted a little bit more action or just faster pace is what I wanted. Now this was narrated by a few people, so I'm going to read them off to you because I don't want to get any names wrong. So there are 4 different audiobook narrators for this one. Dan Stevens was the main one, Hannah Curtis, Sarah Cullum, and Christine Rendell. So those were the 4 narrators that were a part of this audiobook. So yeah, but I read it. And now we're going to take a little dip here. Take a little dip in the middle of the month. I read There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark, which is the first book in the Sinners duology. And I read this one for a buzzword because the buzzword for January was there, or there. Any type of spelling of that word. So There Are No Saints. I read this one on my Kindle and I did not like it. I didn't like it. I was really intrigued by this one though, because it sells really well in our store and it's a dark romance. It's a serial killer's romance. So I was like, interesting. And I'd heard good things about it from other people. And I don't know, man. I had a hard time taking it seriously. I really, really did. I liked the serial killer aspect, but I wanted more of that. And I felt like that was just part of the background. And I wanted that to be more of a focus because I felt like that could have gone a lot further than what it did. And I don't know, man. I felt like there could have been so much more there about that aspect of it, but it was solely focused mainly on the romance. And I get it. It's a dark romance, sure, but like it could have been darker as far as the killing stuff goes. And here's the thing. I did not buy the chemistry between the 2 characters. I just didn't. And there were just scenes that I went, no. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, I had a hard time taking it seriously. I couldn't picture this happening. And, part of like the whole dark romance thing is like you're reading things that are happening and no, they're not realistic and most likely not, ever going to happen. But you understand it and you get it and you're like, okay, I'll let it slide. This one, I was like, absolutely not. No. So I don't know. I don't know, man. This one was not for me at all. And I don't know that dark romance is going to be for me moving forward because I've read a couple now and I'm just like, I don't think I like it. Not that I don't like it because I liked Haunting Adeline. I didn't like the second book at all, but the first book I actually really did like. But I don't know. I can't take it seriously because it's just so over the top and it's purposefully over the top that I'm just like, no. I don't know. It's been an interesting experience trying out this little subgenre of romance, and I don't think I'm digging it. So I'm just going to say no to that, but I did give it 2 stars, and there is definitely a content warning in here for self-harm. So that's a big thing, and consent. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. One thing that this book had that I thought was a really cool element, but it didn't work for me, is that there is a soundtrack that the author created and like music that she was listening to while she was writing scenes, and they were helping inspire the scenes and stuff. And they were included in the book. The song was included in the book. So you could actually listen. There was I think it was Spotify, maybe, or I don't know, but there was a playlist that you could find and you could listen to the songs while you're reading the chapters. And so you kind of have that on the background. Here's the problem I had with it. It was too distracting for me. I usually can't have background noise when I'm reading. I just can't, unless it's something like I could sit next to my husband while he's watching anime and I can read because it's in Japanese. I don't understand it. So it's just noise, right? But if it's something that I can hear and I can understand, I can't. It distracts me way too much because I'm listening to that instead because I understand what's going on. So because there were words in the songs, I was listening to the songs and not reading the words. I can't do both at the same time. So that aspect of it personally didn't work for me, but that's just a me thing. I think it's a really cool concept to have, a music inspiration on in the background while you're reading the scene, because it can help kind of heighten that experience for you. But just for me personally, it was too distracting. So I did it with one song and I was like, nope, can't do it. And then I have 2 books that I'm going to show you, but I'm not going to tell you my thoughts because they are both 5-star predictions. So I'm not going to tell you what I thought of them, but I have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a young adult fantasy book, the first in a duology. So I read this one, and then I also read Falling by T.J. Newman, which is a thriller. And I read them. You will see my thoughts when we wrap up our 5-star predictions, which will be at the end of February. So stay tuned for that. And I have one more to read for February, but yeah, so I did read them though. And then I read another book, but it's a secret because I'm going to have a reading vlog for that coming up here soon. So I'm going to keep that a little bit on the down low, but I did read another book. So in total, I read 7 books in the month of January, which is really, really awesome. And yeah, I'm excited about that. It was a pretty good reading month. The only miss was the one on my Kindle. That's the only one that I really just didn't like. And then Anna O was just kind of middle of the road okay for me. All right, that is going to be it for me today. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you're interested in picking any of them up after hearing me talk about them. I would love to know that. And what was your favorite read in the month of January? Let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.